Ben Walton, another global shaper who's done so much work to plan this forum, is now going to introduce our keynote speaker, State Representative Stephanie Howse.
So again, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time of their schedule to attend, and without further ado, I'll give a brief introduction. So, State Representative Stephanie Howse is currently serving her third term in the Ohio House of Representatives, Representative House District 11, which includes the communities of Cleveland, Garfield Heights, and Newburgh Heights. She serves on the Aging and Long-Term Care Committee, where she is ranking member, Finance, Subcommittee on Transportation, and Public Safety Committee. She earned a BS in Civil/Environmental Engineering from Florida A&M University and an MA in Environmental Studies from Cleveland State University in 2002, while studying for her master's and working a full-time position with Stephan J, Sebesta Associates. Representative Stephanie Howse service to our community is centered on the quote by Dorothy Height that says, "We have to improve life, not just for those who have the most skills and those who know how to manipulate the system, but also for and with those who often have so much to give but never get the opportunity." So without further ado, I want to hand it off to Representative Stephanie Howse. And if you want to react in the chat or anything, you're welcome to do so.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, for that introduction. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. We made it, and we are now here engaging and participating in our first Neo Youth Climate Future Forum. Yay. Pat yourself on the back. I want to begin by just giving another thank you to all of the partners who have invested in this forum. Black environmental leaders, Local Drink Tap, the Ohio Environmental Council, the Cleveland Water Alliance, and Case Western Reserve University. Thank you to all the volunteers who have put timeless hours into making this happen. You are appreciated. And in the time that I have with you all today, I want to, kind of share some things. I want to make this interactive. So please begin to formulate some questions for me because I'm here for you. But I want to get started just a little bit on where we are, right? And how, just where we are. So let me start. So being a state representative, I joined the legislature in 2015. And it was at that point where I really began to have a fuller and broader understanding of where we are. So most people, if you don't know, Ohio was founded in 1803. And then when I asked most people, well, when did other people come into the system? Just the Ohio General Assembly, the people who make the laws, the policies, right? This is Global Shapers is focusing on changing policies, right? For a variety of things. You all have the themes of focusing on environment and climate change, racial and environmental justice, food, agricultural and land use, and youth empowerment and activism. So I want to give you a context when we talk about policy. So Ohio was founded in 1803. So I would say we had some founders. They were all white men who owned things, okay? But when did other groups come into the mix? So the first African-American man to serve in the General Assembly, his name is George Washington Williams, entered the fold in 1808. Ohio was founded in 1803. The first women to serve in the General Assembly began in 1922. These 6 women were a reflection of, we're talking about the 19th Amendment. They are a byproduct of that, right? So actually Ohio ratified the 19th Amendment in 1919. It was passed in 1920, and 6 women joined the General Assembly in 1922, okay? but Ohio was founded in 1803. Then we get to a little bit later on, the first African-American woman to serve in the General Assembly, C. Helen Rakin, was in 1978, okay? 1978, Ohio was founded in 1803. And then last we have the first Hispanic man. The Honorable John Garcia, he served in the legislature in 1995, but Ohio was founded in 1803. Now I start off with this basic history of Ohio, because we need to truly understand the policies and the practices that we all have to live by. Many times they were not created with us in mind. When you look at the years, the math, there were 77 years Ohio had rules before a Black man was in the Ohio General Assembly. It was 119 years before women, and particularly white women, had a voice in the Ohio General Assembly. It's 175 years before a Black woman had a voice within the Ohio General Assembly. It's been 192 years for policy practices to carry on before a Hispanic man had a voice in this thing of policy making in Ohio. And now, what about everybody else? Because I only called certain groups. It's been 217 years and counting before we've had a Hispanic woman, any indigenous people, our brothers and sisters in the AAPI is 217 years and counting. And I really want you all to think about that. Think about it. What can happen when your voice is not included, you aren't thought about, and then what really could happen? We are all living what can happen, right? What we are experiencing today has been done by design. It's not intentional. It's not by chance that some of these things that we are happening. And so I really want you all to focus these next couple of hours, these next 2 days, when you talk about, when you're building the plans, have a full understanding of where Ohio has been structured. Just giving a little bit about myself, I first ran for public office in 2005. I was 25 years old, ran for Cleveland City Council, did not win. Okay, so for those of you all who are interested in public service, I would encourage you to do it. You can do it. You might not win the first time, because it took me 3 more times. I ran a couple of other times, but the 4th time I ran, it was back in 2014. I was 34 years old, and finally people said yes to me, right? So that was a 9-year journey, and a lot of times people can get discouraged when people don't say yes to you at first. Sometimes no means not right now. And I'm sharing this because I want you all to get in the mindset of, when you talk about youth empowerment and youth activism, get it in the mind of you got to have a long-term goal, a long-term focus. When I was elected back in 2014, the overall voter turnout was around 21%. Specifically for my race, the voter turnout was 8%, okay? I won my election by 2,355 votes. Now that might sound like a lot, but in the context of overall voter turnout, that wasn't anything. 92% of the people who were eligible to vote for the next representative for Ohio's House District 11 chose not to participate. And my race is pretty similar to a lot of other races all across Ohio, not only on the state level, local level, county level, state level, and federal level. So again, as you all are thinking about these things, understand that the people that are in places of power to partner with you to make this policy change happen, many of us are getting there with such smart numbers that are not truly reflective of what Ohio is today and what it will be in the future. Okay? So as you all are taking the time, really understand what representative democracy is, learning how our power systems work and what you can do to change the direction of how things are going, right? When we talk about having people listen, because I know some of the earlier remarks of there's a disconnect between what people want and what we are actually getting. And one of the reasons why I know that is happening is because we, again, like I said, we don't understand how it works, but really at the end of the day, we don't have people that we can influence to do what we want to, right? And so either we're gonna get people in office, yes, in office, which means you gotta vote and all that good stuff, get people in office that you can influence, or at the end of the day, you're gonna have to replace them, okay? And that's just the way it goes. You know, we can wish upon a star all that we want to, but as you can see, based on the history of Ohio, it's taken a long time just to get some voices in the door, right? And we don't have 77 years, 119 years, 175 years, 217 more years to try to get this right. There is a sense of urgency right now that you all have to engage in, right? And I feel like, you know, you gotta have a spirit of don't believe me, just watch me, okay? You have to make people, you know, it's not about talking, you have to make people in this system, listen to you and serve you in the way that you believe can change the trajectory, not only of Ohio, but this world, right? So in these next couple of hours, I want to encourage you to stay connected and committed, not just for this weekend, not just for the next year. It might, like me, it might take you 9 years to see your vision. Are you committed in that way? Understanding that no one else is coming to save us, right? You all are the dream team, right? So just make sure that you stay focused on the vision, knowing that you're going to have to take care of yourselves and each other, and having a clear understanding that this fight is worth it. You are worth it. Our communities are worth it, and our futures are worth it. I want to thank you all so much in advance for having the insight and giving people like me inspiration that even though things may not seem like they're going in the right direction, that you all have the collective power and the energy to truly create a just world, a fair world, where we have an environment where it's not 71 degrees in Ohio in October, but that's another story. Again, thank you all so much for your time. I want you all to stay safe and know that your collective actions and voices are powerful. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Now we're gonna transition into a couple of questions and answers. Hopefully you all are getting your questions and answers together. And now I will let the question and answer session happen with me and Miss Jessica.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Representative Stephanie Howse. That was such a powerful speech and a call to action. We are going to transition into a closed Q&A with Representative Stephanie Howse. I have a few pre-prepared questions for her. And the first question is, can you describe your experience as a young person growing up in Cleveland and your struggle with not knowing how to affect change? Now that you're a state legislator with lots of experience in policymaking and solution building, what advice would you tell these youth that you wish you had known when you were their age?
So I would say, like growing up, I really, you know, I'm going to always give a special shout out to my mom. She was very civic minded, so I grew up where, we were always involved. I knew about politics very early on, as my mother was a precinct committee person. So that's the person on a very local level that helps their neighbors find out information about what's going on as far as elections. And so growing up, I really thought that politics was very normal, right? But then you grow up and you realize, oh, don't nobody really participate. And I'm like, eek. So when I think about like growing up, what would I tell my younger self? I guess I would have necessarily thought that everybody knew what I knew. You see what I'm saying? And I think I would have invited more friends along. You see what I'm saying? I would have engaged with people my age to, help work on a campaign, help getting a person elected one way or the other, because I do think there is something, and it's valuable for people just to engage in processes. You find out what you like, you find out what you don't like. And I think if I knew that I was like only a limited, in a limited group, I would engage with more people to help people have an experience that I know most people probably wouldn't.
Thank you. On to the next question. Recognizing young people as leaders of today gives meaning to our contribution as autonomous civic agents. Young people are the stakeholders in any developmental thinking process. They can contribute to the consultation, planning, implementation, and follow-up of any initiative or task. So how do we place young people at the heart of decision-making processes today?
Yeah, so as I explained before, we are not in a system that is proactive, right? It is very reactionary. And so for young people, and this is just my opinion, for young people to have their voice truly heard, to be centered in the conversations of policy making. As I stated before, you either have to get people that you could truly influence, or you got to replace people. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel like young people are going to have to develop strategies to put people in the positions of power that will center their center their thoughts, center the policies that they want to get forward. This system wasn't designed to be like, oh, we're going to do it. Nope. This system was intentionally designed to only think about, for the most part, people that's in that place and space. And as you see, like, just in the Ohio General Assembly, we don't have any, I would say 18 or 19-year-olds, even though there have been some in the history, right? We have a couple of 20-somethings, and then it's a couple 30-somethings, and then it goes from there. So if young people truly want to be centered, you have to devise a plan to get people that are going to carry your water in these places of power, or you're going to have to replace people, and then your people are going to do what you want because you put them there. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you for that. So the goal of the Global Shapers Cleveland is to leverage the passion of diverse groups of young leaders to create local change through a global lens by sparking critical conversations, prototyping design solutions, supporting community partners through project spirits, and approaching problems through the lens of human-centered design. With this in mind, why do you think voting in local, state, and federal elections is so critical?
Voting I believe voting is just it's a crucial first step, right? Because we are in a representative democracy, our collective voices are kind of summed up in the people we elect to office, right? So if you have to understand that. And so when you don't have people in these places, then they cannot be your voice. You know what I'm saying? They won't do it. And as you can see, there is such a disconnect with many of the people that are in office to, I would say, the mind and the framework of many, I would say, of the people that are connected to the global forum kind of shapers Cleveland group, you know, and we have to bridge that divide. And so, you know, voting is just a critical element, a crucial step. It's not the only step, but I feel like it's one of the first steps that you can do to kind of see your desires and dreams carried out in the policies and practices, and seeing it bear fruit in our everyday lives. So voting, is that the only thing? It should not be the only thing. It's the first step in a process.
What do you think is the biggest threat or challenge facing our communities today?
Man, I think the biggest threat facing our communities is lack of knowledge. Like, it's by design that we don't teach our citizens about how our government systems work. And I mean, truly, how they truly work, right? And I know that when you don't know what you don't know, then you can't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? And that is I just think it's dangerous. You see what I'm saying? Because now we are in a time where truth ain't really even truth no more. Like seriously, you wouldn't think we have gotten to this place, but I think that is the biggest danger for us. You know what I'm saying? Because my philosophy has always been trust but verify, right? And many of us are ill-equipped and not prepared to verify what people are saying because we don't really know the truth of how to seek the truth for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, people could be driving us straight off the bridge into Lake Erie, and because we just trusting so much, we don't go along with it. And I would say for the young people, you know, doing what we can to work together to get the information, the right information, so that we can make the necessary decisions to change our trajectory and really activate in the way that we want.
The last question for you, what skills and attitudes are important for youth to learn in order to build just and peaceful societies and communities?
The skills that I think folks need to have, first, you have to be a good listener. You know, many times we don't take the time to truly listen. That's active listening. Stop your mind, stop your mouth, open your ears, and listen to what people are saying. A lot of people around us, they're telling us exactly what they want, right? Exactly what they want. And we're just not listening. So I think being an active listener is very, very important. I think you have to have patience. You know, patience is necessary. Change at times can be hard because many of us are accustomed to just the things being the way they are, right? And if we want to see the changes in environment and racial justice and land use, we got to be patient. We have to be patient with ourselves, and we have to be patient with the process. What other skill do I think we need to have? I think we need to have, you know, a spirit of fearlessness, right? When you are trying to truly change systems, you want to upset the power dynamics, you're gonna have a fearlessness spirit. Because many times, you know, those in power, they wanna keep it, right? And you're trying to shift it, take it away. And so you have to be prepared for the things that are going to come your way. And I think a lot of times we are held back because we are scared, right? We don't want to be ostracized. We don't want to be targeted. You know, we want to eat, you know, we want to have a job opportunity. within that though, you know, fearlessness will help you keep you grounded and have you understanding that what is for you will be. Sometimes you just got to live your purpose and live out your vision. So those would be like some of the key traits. And then finally, I would definitely say fun, you know, because again, when you working hard, you gotta make time to have fun, take care of yourself, learn how to laugh when you get in arguments or when you make mistakes. And then also I would say close out with love. You know, you don't aspire to change the world without love, you know, and I'm saying love of yourself, love of people, and doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying? You got to have love if you want to see everybody win. And so those would be just some of the skills or traits I feel like people need to embrace.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. Now I'm going to transition to Kaylin for the open Q&A.
Thank you, Jessica, for that. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Kaylin Pittman, Stephanie Howse's legislative aide of Ohio's 11th House District. I am a native of Columbus, Ohio. I graduated from Ohio Dominican University with a degree in educational administration and childcare. And I just wanted to highlight to all the students that, you know, you don't have to have a career in politics to get engaged and serve your people and your communities. That is one of the reasons why I got involved with Representative Howse's office, is because I want to serve our communities and help serve our district and students who are in need. So you can always find a way to help with the legislature if you're interested in getting involved with our office or want to touch base with Representative Howse. I did put our contact information in the chat here. You can feel free to call us or send us an email if you have any questions. We will be so glad to help. And I'm going to give people a few minutes here to put some questions into the chat box. So if students would like to go ahead and do that, we'll get started. And Representative Howse, as we are giving people a minute here to type in their questions, we did have some questions that were already submitted. And one of the questions would be, what should be the relationship between local community work and regional coordination?
I would say the connection from, I would say, the local level and regional efforts, I think that's a necessary that we really don't, I would say, fully engage in. So what do I mean by that? Many times, like when we're on our different levels, everybody is doing their own thing, right? Each level is important, and sometimes it's easy to forget what the other are doing. And so I really think starting at a point of what is the design to keep the two-way street going on from the local level to the regional level. Many times we have like liaisons, and I think we might need to broaden that perspective, because sometimes if one person is the liaison, things are missed. You see what I'm saying? Information is not communicated. And so thinking about different ways to have the information transition back and forth, and to intentionally put together or create opportunities for local and regional efforts to work together seamlessly. You know what I'm saying? Not just one-offs or two-offs, but this is just how we do business. If that makes sense. I know.
It does make sense. Thank you, Rep. I also have a question in the chat box from Lena. She said, Representative Howse, other than voting, how else do you recommend young people act on a regular basis on issues for long-term to help make real?
To make real change we want to see. Well, I would say, well, thank you so much for the question, Lana. I think it's important for young people to get involved. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at the Kahoot where people were giving their answers and responses, And it looked like the majority of people, they never worked on a political campaign, never kind of worked in government. And there is a lot that people can learn. A lot of this is relationship building, right? And I always say that you don't fight for people or with people you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so, Lana, I would encourage you to seek out opportunities. You know, and I'll just throw this out because this is where I am. If you say that, I know there is a group of young people working on a climate action plan right here in Ohio. And they've begun the work of connecting with legislators because it's on the state level that they want to get this plan accomplished. You know, so it's an opportunity to, you know, we're running every 2 years. And so engaging with some people that are in positions that can help you get to what you need to get to. That is something beyond voting that I think is necessary because, again, like I said, voting is the beginning, right? It's not the end. And so it's what are we going to do after November 4th, right? And that's to me the connection and partnership that we have with people and initiatives beyond the election day that can truly help to create meaningful change and to begin to have a level of accountability that we just haven't necessarily seen on a broad level.
Okay, thank you, Representative Howse. People can still feel free to throw in some questions there, but we will move on. Representative Howse, what are you doing on a state level to address racial injustice?
So ever since I've been in the Ohio General Assembly, I have really worked to engage the leaders in the Ohio House to begin to just start having conversations on race. It was a time where I actually facilitated a conversation with legislators on the topic of race. I have also put forth requests for legislators ourselves to go through racial equity and discrimination training because many of us, there are legislators that do not believe that racism is real. And how do you legislate from a place in something that you don't believe in? And so I've been pushing for it that we still haven't had it. So I'm still pushing. And then I would say most recently, I am a joint sponsor of House Concurrent Resolution 31, this SCR, the Senate Resolution, Resolution 14, where we have put forth a declaration to declare racism a public health crisis here in Ohio, and it really is focused on the legislature looking through a racial equity lens and our policies and practices. So those are some of the things that I'm doing, and I've been this way. I've been continuing to raise up the voice, but within that, we just don't have a majority of people that believe the same thing as me, and I hope in partnership with the young people that are on this forum, that you all will lift up your voices and reach out to my colleagues and put other people in the General Assembly that will begin to make some positive step forward to having a restoration and reconciliation process as we are addressing race here in Ohio.
Thank you again, Representative Howse. And we have another question from Lena. She said, do you recommend any resources to teach and encourage young people how politics really work outside of school so young people can feel more comfortable and get involved?
Yes, I probably will sound like a broken record, but I'm going to tell people to work on a campaign, y'all. I know people's like, oh, I don't want to do it. There is something for everyone. You know what I'm saying? And even in school, I do believe that we need to teach about the voting process in our school because we really do not teach it to our people. Outside of it, I'm just a person of when you understand people's learning styles, right? There are people that learn by doing, you know, some that can read about it, some that can listen to it. I think those are, yeah, those are the different learning styles. But I just will encourage people to just jump in and get involved with someone's campaign. There are plenty of, I would say, resources when it comes to training about how to run for office and or working on different campaigns. There are resources, and because this is a open forum, if you look at the Ohio Democratic Party and the Ohio Republican Party, we also have a Green Party. Those are like different platforms, but they are literally connected to dozens of organizations that do training for young people in particular. I'm gonna have to send some specific resources to you, but I just feel like there's no better way to learn about our system versus just getting involved. In addition to that, I would also encourage people to engage with our county board of elections, you know, that facilitate elections. That's another additional way to kind of learn about how this system works, what are the different rules. And so just get involved. And if you want more information on that, because I believe like people need to get involved where they are. Everybody is like, sometimes the focus is trying to save those people over there, and we haven't even saved our own homes or our own streets or our own blocks. And so just getting involved where you live, where you are, you will learn a lot. Learn a lot.
Thank you, Representative Howse. And as we come to a close here, would you like to give any final remarks to everyone?
I would just say, again, I just want to thank you all. Thank all the sponsors, the volunteers for putting this forum together. I know what you all are doing. You are the visionaries that truly are going to change the trajectory, not only of Northeast Ohio, but I know this is a global movement. And so, again, I just want to say thank you for taking this journey, and just stay encouraged. Stay safe, love on one another, and take care of one another. Thank you all so much.